right, everybody, welcome back. We are kicking off another deep dive, and today we're looking at something pretty interesting.
Yeah, should be a good one.
So, we are going to be going deep on Switzerland,
Switzerland.
specifically their financial system.
Love it.
And we're going to be exploring an idea that has been proposed to add Bitcoin to the Swiss National Bank reserves.
Oh, wow.
And our guide for this deep dive is going to be an interview with Eve from the Bitcoin Initiative in Switzerland.
Okay.
And she lays out, I think, a pretty compelling case.
Yeah.
Switzerland, of course, known for being very strong financially.
Right.
And also neutral.
Uh-huh.
So this idea that they would even be considering this is pretty fascinating, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So to understand this, I think we kind of have to go back in time a little bit.
Right.
You know, the Swiss National Bank, the SNB,
Uh-huh.
they used to be on the gold standard.
Right. A lot of countries were back in the day.
Right. And they moved away from it in 2000
Yeah, around that time.
to keep the Swiss franc competitive.
Which makes sense.
But so that begs the question, what does the SNB's, reserves look like today?
Yeah, what is in their vault?
Yeah.
Well, picture a massive vault
Okay.
filled with euros, US dollars,
Mm-hmm.
even shares of companies
Whoa.
listed on the NASDAQ,
Really?
and US Treasury bonds.
Wow. That is a pretty diverse portfolio.
Yeah, it's not just gold bars sitting there.
Right. So where does gold fit into all of this?
So gold plays a pretty small role now, only about 5.5% of their reserves.
Okay.
They hold it as a hedge against volatility,
Oh.
a little safety net when things get crazy.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But here's where I think things get really interesting.
Okay.
The SNB actually already has some indirect exposure to Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah, through companies
Okay.
like MicroStrategy,
Oh, right.
who have invested heavily in it.
Uh-huh.
So it's not like they're totally unfamiliar with crypto.
That's a good point. They're dipping their toes in a little bit, it seems like.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Switzerland's heavy reliance on foreign currencies, it makes them kind of vulnerable to decisions made by other countries.
Vulnerable how?
Well, take 2022, for example.
Okay.
After COVID, right?
Mm.
The U.S. printed a ton of dollars.
Yeah.
And that actually led to some pretty big losses for the SNB.
So how does Bitcoin fit into this? How does Bitcoin fix this?
Okay, so Eve and her team, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're proposing adding Bitcoin to the SNB's reserves, just like gold.
So not replacing the Swiss franc,
No.
not making Bitcoin legal tender.
Not at all.
Okay.
This is about diversification
Diversification
and protection,
Mhm.
protecting their financial stability.
In a world that's kind of unpredictable.
The world's a crazy place right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Abs-
Wouldn't that be a huge change for Switzerland?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But actually, Switzerland's constitution,
Okay.
it says that the SNB has to hold reserves,
Okay.
and some of that has to be gold,
Okay.
but it doesn't say how much.
Interesting.
So there's wiggle room. Plus,
Yeah.
the Swiss public, they've historically trusted the SNB
Okay.
when it comes to these decisions about reserves, even with gold.
So the legal side isn't really a problem.
Doesn't seem like it.
But how does holding Bitcoin align with Switzerland's long-term financial goals?
Well, Switzerland is all about monetary sovereignty,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Control over their own currency and policies.
Uh-huh.
And Bitcoin is what?
Decentralized.
Exactly. Not tied to any one country.
Oh, I see.
So that could actually boost their monetary sovereignty.
Okay.
Plus, Switzerland already has,
Yes.
a good regulatory framework for crypto
Right.
and pretty favorable tax policies.
Makes sense.
So it's not a huge leap for them to kind of be on the forefront of this.
So it sounds like this is more of an evolution than a revolution.
Exactly. It's about adapting.
In a changing world.
The financial landscape is always changing.
It's true. But, Bitcoin has a reputation for being volatile.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that be a challenge for the SMB?
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is known for its price swings,
Yeah.
but the SMB, they're not new to managing risk.
Okay.
They've been doing it for a long time.
It's okay.
And they would for sure be cautious
Yeah.
with Bitcoin. But don't forget,
Right.
Bitcoin's supply is limited.
Right.
And more people are using it.
So,
So in the long term,
yeah,
it could actually go up in value.
which would be good for the SMB.
Exactly. They could benefit from that long-term growth.
So really it's about Switzerland being innovative,
Yeah, playing to their strengths.
using their history of being
Sure.
strong financially.
Right. They're not just jumping into this blindly.
Yeah.
They've got a plan.
Yeah.
And it's not just Switzerland doing this.
What do you mean?
Globally, central banks are increasing their gold reserves.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because the world is uncertain.
Makes sense.
And gold has always been seen as that safe haven. You could argue that Bitcoin is stepping into a similar role.
Oh, okay.
In the digital age.
So Switzerland is basically looking at how to adapt.
Yeah, they're trying to stay ahead of the curve.
And potentially strengthen their position globally.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating case study for sure.
Yeah, it really is. It raises a lot of questions.
Definitely. Could other countries follow suit?
Yeah. What happens if all central banks start holding Bitcoin?
This is a big question.
It is a big question.
A lot to think about.
Well, if you're interested in this topic, the full interview with Eve is definitely worth a listen.
For sure.
And that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.
We'll catch you next time.